Bobbin from Backscatter here, and in this video we're going to show you the most simple, straightforward, and easy way to shoot amazing macro underwater with the Olympus TG-6 and a Backscatter light. We're going to cover all the gear that you need as well as the technique that we use to pull these shots off. By the end of this video, you're going to realize this is actually really easy, and classically lit, awesome macro shots are well within your grasp. So stick with us and we'll show you how it's done. So starting with the gear, we've got our Olympus TG-6 in an underwater housing. The TG-6 is one of our favorite compact cameras for shooting macro, and we've got an in-depth review and detailed guide on the camera and everything that makes it awesome for underwater. You can check that out after this. We've got that set up in its housing on a double handle tray, so we have some nice ergonomic stability and operation of our rig in the water. And we've got a single flex arm with our light hooked up to that. Flex arm is basically the most lightweight, inexpensive, and easy way to just bring your light out where we want it and keep it there. When shooting video, you'll also need a tripod for stability. Every underwater clip shown in this video was captured using a tripod. When it comes to choosing your lighting, it's all about taking the right tool for the right job. If you're shooting primarily photos, then you're going to want to use a strobe like our mini flash. If you're doing primarily video, then you're going to want to take a video light like our macro wide 4300. You will need a light to shoot macro. You can't really do it with just natural light alone. Macro critters tend to blend into their environment, and they like to hide in dark, hidden places. We need to hit them with some light to make those colors pop and get them bright enough to stand out in our shot. If you want to be equipped to shoot both photo and video, but you only want to bring one light with you, you can just bring a macro wide 4300 underwater and still be able to pull off some excellent still shots. That's not something that we would recommend in general for underwater photography, because a video light isn't as bright as a strobe, and it doesn't really do as great of a job at freezing motion on moving subjects. That's why it's kind of impractical for wide-angle photography where our subject is a little farther away. But for shooting macro, where our subject is only inches in front of our lens, this super bright video light is going to be bright enough to trick the TG-6 into running a fast enough shutter speed to freeze motion on our subject and provide a bright enough exposure to get a decent shot. Actually, when using a video light for shooting photo, we like to say it's the best kind of TTL, or in other words, it's the most effective, simple, automatic exposure possible. All you gotta do is turn your light on, point it at your subject, and what you see is what you get. It's basically a fully automatic process, so it doesn't get much easier than that. That being said, if you're going underwater to shoot purely photos, the best tool for the job is a strobe. It's gonna give you a lot more exposure control and more control over fast-moving subjects and creating nice dark backgrounds in a number of scenes and situations, not just when shooting macro. So choose the best tool for the job, and if you want to get your camera set up for the best results with each of these lighting configurations, you can check out our TG-6 Best Underwater Settings series, where we cover all the appropriate camera presets for both of these lighting styles. So no matter what you want to shoot, we got you covered for the best results in the easiest way possible. No matter which lighting setup you're running with, one essential accessory for shooting great macro is a snoot. This is the optical snoot that we designed to work with the mini flash and the macro wide 4300. It doesn't get much easier than this. It just snaps right onto the front of the light, and then it's going to dramatically reduce the size of the light beam down to a small, very fine point that we can actually taper both in size and shape using this insertable aperture card. It really doesn't get much simpler than that. This is going to allow us some really great creative opportunities for macro shots and the ability to completely black out the background and the surrounding area around our subject for a super clean look. For demonstration purposes throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to have the MW4300 video light on my rig, and we're going to start off without the snoot. We'll bring that back in a minute. Whether you're shooting with the 4300 video light or the mini flash, the principles and placement and techniques that we're going to cover apply equally for both lights. And you can just use the built-in target light on the mini flash to have a preview of where your flash beam is going to hit. Once we're in the water and we found a nice cooperative macro subject somewhere on the reef where we've got enough room to set up on it, we're going to bring our light out over the front of our rig and the top of our subject. The real key here is keeping the light in line with the lens so that we're really working the subject on the same axis and the same plane as our light and our lens. Everything's in a straight shot. This way, when we turn on our light, we've got this entire area in front of the lens covered. So no matter exactly where our subject is or how big it is and how close we need to be, we've basically got it covered. Now, all we need to do to really compose and get the perfect shot is zoom with our camera and then take our light and just tweak the angle a little bit back or forth to really look for the shadows and how they play on the subject and get that lighting dialed in. Don't move your light all over the place. Just make little tweaks and little adjustments to the angle, keeping it up here in this central overhead position. You can use the wide beam to just blanket the whole area in front of the lens and guarantee you're gonna get some good lighting on your subject, but it's not exactly the most dynamic look we can create. By switching the light into its macro mode, we do have to be a little more precise with our aiming, but we create a look that's much more interesting and has a lot more contrast by blacking out the background and the surrounding environment around our subject. Now here's the real key piece of information. Once this light is set and in place, just keep it there and stay set to shoot that one size of subject. Spend the rest of your dive hunting for critters that are a similar size and stick to shooting those. This is gonna make your life so much easier, and this is really how the pros do it. Just get the light set in that classic macro composition for one size of subject, and then spend the rest of the dive working on subjects of that size to bring home more keeper shots instead of wasting your time constantly moving the light around. So when you encounter a smaller critter, or maybe something you just want to call out a particular detail on, that's when it's time to bust out the optical snoot. We're going to throw that onto our light and then dramatically reduce the size of the light beam to light just our subject or just that area of the subject that we want some light on. The optical snoot also works the same exact way on the mini flash. Just use the target light for a real-time preview of what the flash beam is going to do. There's still really no need to change the general light position. We're keeping it in that just vertical overhead position and then slightly adjusting the angle to put the beam right where we want it. In order to make that beam a little larger or a little smaller to really taper it in for your shot, just use the aperture card and pull it in or out, or even out altogether to create the largest snooted hole. It's that simple. So no matter how we need to adjust it for our really small subjects, we can just use that aperture card and dial it in. You should also note that due to the optical properties of water, the distance that you're actually going to use the snoot at will be about 33% greater than what you'll practice with it at on the tabletop in air. In this example, my snoot would be visible in the shot, but this is the distance in air at which it produces the sharpest edge of the beam. In water, we'd be another 33% farther away to get that same sharp beam edge, and our snoot would not be visible in the shot. So just keep that in mind as you transition from practice to actual underwater use. So that's all there is to it. Get the camera set up in a housing on a double handle tray for stability, with an arm for maneuverability and a light to make the subjects pop. Bring a strobe if you're shooting photos, or a video light if you're shooting video, or you can just simply use a video light for really easy, simple, and good macro photos too. Get set for one size of critter and spend the dive hunting for similarly sized critters. Then just swoop in, put the subject in the light, slightly adjust the light angle and the camera zoom, and fire away. Then move on to the next subject and do it again. It's just that simple, and you'll start capturing amazing macro with an Olympus TG-6 and a Backscatter light and snoot. If you have any questions, just drop a comment on this video or give us a call. We're always happy to help. The best way to help us keep making more of this content is to, of course, like and subscribe, but more importantly, get your underwater photo and video gear from us here at Backscatter or one of our dealers worldwide. Every purchase includes free lifetime tech support. We actually dive, shoot, and service everything we sell, and we ship internationally every day to thousands of customers all over the world. Thanks for watching. I'm Robin from Backscatter, signing off.